Today is day 70 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Hopefully we'll get down to the Sod of the Arukh HaShulchan today. Today's shir is dedicated with tefillos for Refuah Shlema, Hashta Bagla Bisman Kariv, for those who need it, and continued health and strength for the rest of rest of us. Is donated anonymously. Yashikoyach. If you would like to sponsor a shir of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, or more than one shir, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. And today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is Siman Mem Aleph Sif Dalet, the Siman Mem Beis Sif Ches. And we're talking about carrying a load on one's head when one is filling Shorosh on. Dalet of Rabbeinu Makas Abishon Rabbi Zelshon of Adav Shadarkli Tim Barosho, something which you normally put on your head, mitznefes, such as I'm not sure what you call mitznefes is, but obviously there are two different types of fat. It's mutter. If it is a load which is 4 kabin in weight, about 3 chakos, and it pushes aside the side last year, I'm going to show you have to remove them. But that which he says it's up to 4 kabin is okay, it's something that which he normally put on his head. That which he forbids the mitznefes is the davar she'ein darkol l'sum yisho. It's something which he doesn't normally put on his head. And this is a bit difficult, says the Arukh HaShulchan. The ein derech liyoso rosho is a davar she'arba kabin. 4 kabin is not something which one normally holds on one's head. For informational purposes, the 6 eggs, 6 beitzim, is 1 log. Therefore, 1/2 beitzim is 1/4 of a log, a revius. So if you measure that up, revius according to Chaim Noah is about 3.3 ounces. So a beit kabetza is like 4 times that much, about 13 ounces, and there are 4 log in 1 kav. So I mean that a kav is about let's say 13 times 4 would be 50. 13 times 4 is 52, right? 52 ounces, and 52 ounces times 4 would be somewhere over 100 ounces, approximately a little bit less than a gallon. So a little bit more than a gallon. So that is the 4 kav which we're talking about. There's a distinction between something which compresses the tefillin and something which does not compress the tefillin. Rotzos is the tefillin. If they compress the tefillin, even a handkerchief is forbidden. If it's not compressing the tefillin, it's printed up to 4 kabin. There's more though. So how is the hat going to compress your tefillin? Some people distinguish in a place where people normally carry burn on their head. That they're up to 4 kabins. A place where it's forbidden. It's not that they're to put bare things on one's head. Also, a handkerchief is forbidden. And here's the idea. The Vadik Shir should be based, so Arukh HaShulchan gives his own reconciliation here. If you're sitting at home, also if you don't meet pachas, you're not allowed to have even a handkerchief on your head, of course, besides your yarmulke. If you don't need it, why put it on? The price of everybody who's on his way. He's bearing a burden. He's going from place to place. So as mutter at arba kabin, then up to 4 kabin is permissible. Also only with refuse is fertilizers, and also mishum bizoyim because of the degradation of the film. Siman mem base. If you're permitted to change mishoriyad to sharosh or vice versa. Aleph. Also, tefillin sharosh lasos to shoriyad. You can't make the tefillin sharosh into tefillin shoriyad to pish kedusha sharosh. Kedusha sharosh gedolim mishoriyad. The kedusha of sharosh is greater than a shoriyad. The sharosh is bukuv abai shin because in sharosh there's a shin embedded in the bias itself. But the shoriyad. V'omidishum shakai, Shaddai, the name Hashem, Yesh Ru Shorosh, most of it's in the film Shorosh. Hashin Vadalet, although the Dalet is really only in the Ritzuos, but in any event, Bashal Yad, Rakayud, and the Shal you only have the Yud. V'asir Shams B'Kedusha Chomer, Kedusha Kala. It can't change from a more stringent Kedusha to a lesser Kedusha. V'ilkak Ritzua Mishal Rosh, Litna B'Shal Yad, Ostim Tamzeh. And even the Ritzua, you're not allowed to put in the Shal Yad for the same reason. I will Shal Yad Mutar L'Sos Shal Rosh, but Shal Yad, you can make it the Shal Rosh, the Mali B'Kodesh, because you're upgrading the Kedusha. Yaslo B'Arba Batim, Mosh Kasam Simulan Beis, of course they have to make 4 separate chambers. Beis, V'zeh, Davkuk Shvay Nicham, that's the only way you put them on. Avo Chadoshim, but new ones, Shaloi Nicham Adam, which you haven't yet put on, Mutar L'Sos Mishal Rosh Shal Yad. You're allowed to make the Shal Rosh Shal Yad, the Kamon has Monolab Milso. We don't believe the designation is significant enough in this respect. How do you do this? You put upon them a covering of leather, which makes them look like all one chamber. Like we mentioned before, it's similar to base. If you put a new ritzua into an old shel rosh, and you haven't yet used that strap, you can take it and put it into a shel yad. Also, you made a condition to begin with. That you should have the capacity to change them. You can also change them. Even in shel rosh into shel yad. And for anything condition works, it's going to be clothing and shosim l'shem sefer Torah mezuzos. Even by parchments, the parshas which you make. Wow. Make it tonight, then you can even use them for mundane purposes. To write and a get, etc. That's what we were specified it. If you're not specified this explicitly, nevertheless, if we can discern that was his intent, as if he made an explicit condition. You don't really have to verbalize it now, but actually it's enough to think in your heart. That's also some of the parchments for Dvarashus, the Kaman Shinog, okay? Since this is the general custom, have a Kitnu, it's like there was a condition. There's a lot of Mishnah Berurah on this. Mishnah Berurah says, all this changing around, it's only if you're in a Shas Atchak, we don't have a Shel Yad, you have 2 Shel Rosh, like the Gemara says, and if that's not the case, then you should write the 4 parshas of the Shel Yad in 1 klaf, as opposed to make the Shel Rosh into Shel Yad, where they're all on 4 separate klafim. The halacha is not sure if once the perhaps even before you put in the Shel Rosh with its straps, once the straps are tied in the proper form of Shel Rosh, so perhaps it becomes Tashmish Kedusha. Or whether, like the Arukh HaShulchan says, as long as you don't put them on for that purpose, its only designation doesn't count. The halacha writes that you cannot change parchment designated for stam, for divrei chol, such as to write on whatever you want to write in it. And even a Tanai, he says, doesn't work in this, because it's in the guf kedusha atzma, in the essence of kedusha. But Ritzuos, that they're only tashmishi kedusha, they serve the batim. You can change them even for a davar chol if they are new. Brings the name of the Razor that has Mara B'Ritzuos Milsahi. That the Razor said that Ba'amor, that even by Ritzuos, that he machmir, and even Hazmana designation makes you be machmir, requires the machmir not to change the davar chol. And even though most poskim argue on this, nevertheless, if it's not a Shas Adchak, you should be machmir. Obviously, the Mishnah Berurah here is much more machmir than the Arukh HaShulchan. Gimel. Yesh mishim mistapek. Those who are not sure. When the strap is severed next to the knot, can you then change it around? In other words, redo the knot further down the line in order to make it even. Make the new knot, and then the place of the, I'm not sure I have to turn it completely around, but if you're making, if it's the Shel Yad, you take the part which is below here and you put it on top where and vice versa. And now the place where the knot was is on your hand. V'yesh b'shemata, some say it's not, you can't do it, v'yesh b'shemata. And here's 19 years, that's Arukh HaShulchan, his opinion. That's the Mokam HaKesher Dal Vayud, the place where the actual Dal and the actual Yud were to be found, the Dal and the Shal Rosh and the Yud and Shal Yad. V'ad Yishras L'Shnos you can't change. Kavachom Tefillin Shal Rosh, Shein L'Sosim Shal Yad. Kavachom, if the Tefillin Shal Rosh you can't make them Shal Yad Minei Hashem Shabo, because of the Shein, Kosh Kem Be'etzem Os Hashem, Shras L'Shan Oso L'Tzul Pshuta. Certainly in the letter from the name, I'm not sure why this is the Kavachomer, but from the letter from the name itself, you can't change it to a simple strap. If not, besides the place of the knot, nearly the incapable Ben Lamal Ben Mat doesn't matter if the tools are changed directions. The Kulachar Kedusha Utom and Kedusha, but Emeselim Malo Mata, and there's no up and down. Because all of it is either wrapped on the arm or hanging from the shorosh. It doesn't matter if it's adjacent to the bais or not. The brackets is here. It says here, it's not like the beams in the base of Mikdash. The beams in the Mishkan, where each beam always has to be placed in the place where it was before. And I see, it's not just about place in the Mishkan, rather it can't be flipped upside down, because there the part which is on the ground is on the ground. Then a covenanted side of it, it's not as honored as the top part. He also would say, even Mogen Avraham perhaps agrees, and he's always talking about the Mokum, the place where the knot is. The Mishnah Berurah says here that that you shouldn't change the knot from top to bottom, but rather you should cut off the place of the kesher and knot and put in geniza. If the strap is not long enough, then don't make so many wraps on your hand. If the shorosh, assuming you can't afford to get a new one, and the shorosh, if that which the part which goes around the head, suppose the part which comes down, then you can't change that which is within the knot, or it's from the front to the back, to that which is without the knot, that which comes down. Okay, so you can't make the ritua which is up here become the ritua down here. See if, oh no, one more here. Mr. Berurah says, if the ritua gets severed on the bottom, some people say that you can put it down, shear. I guess you can loosen the knot on top and take give it a little more slack. And even though you're putting down a little bit of kedusha, and some people forbid this. So if according to this, if the ritzul shayad gets severed near the knot, you shouldn't turn it upside down. Oh, because he's saying that you can't put the top part of the ritzul down because it's diminished its kedusha. No, he's arguing with Chashulchan, and therefore he's machmir not to change it up. Only b'shas tadchak. When there's no ritzua, and the place where it got severed is soft and weak and not suitable to make the knot there, then you can change around. If he's poor, he doesn't have another ritzua. If the shorosh got severed in the place where it surrounds the head, you can then you can pull down so it's below the kesher. So in other words, not like you said before. But it's proper to cut a little bit of the tzua in the place, like cut when it got slit, to cut a little bit of on each side, whatever would surround the shorosh and the place of the kesher, and put that in gniza, where it's the place from the back of where it ever got severed, let's say here, to the knot, and the knot itself should put in gniza, and then we can figure the rest of it. And then the rest of the ritzua you can then, if it's severed and you, because you have now two pieces, you use sinews and put them back together, and then make a kesher in a place where it is the knot will take, and you should try and make it that there should not go beyond the knot that which is initially inside the knot. I'm not sure how you would do that. I just can't picture it, but maybe there's some way to do it. Dal, Kasran Perek Dal Din Tes. Klisha Echino Aniach Bo Tefillin. A vessel which you prepare to put in tefillin, v'nichon bo, and you put the tefillin inside it. This kaddish, it becomes holy for asli shtamish with divrei, and you can't use it for mundane purposes. If you prepared it and did not put the tefillin in, or shenech bo, you put it in there just by happenstance, not lo yechino, and you didn't prepare it to serve that way permanently. Lo nis kaddish, it does not become holy. It is mundane as it was before. Mishabura says that it's true that it doesn't kaddish, but as long as the tefillin is there, it's not appropriate to put money or something else inside the undesignated, occasionally used keli while the tefillin are inside it. Arukh HaShulchan says, only if you put them just by happenstance, it does not become kadosh if it was not prepared. But if you put it there permanently, the scotch comes koli gambalochon. Even if you didn't prepare it and designate for that ahead of time. The tash mishabakvius osa gambachon. A permanent usage is also like preparation. Farsh Gemara, the word explains Masha Amr did sarba. That which it says in the word that if you wrap your tefillin in it, below Asmei and did not designate Eno Kodosh, that's only Elbitzar Bo Derech Arai, where you put it in just as a happenstance. This should stop it if Arai. So it's not clear what exactly is to be a happenstance. Which has 3 days makes it permanent. The Mishabura says, if it was, he's more makeler. Says if you, I'm not sure, but it's a different angle. Even you put it in the tefillin many times, but each time it was just by happenstance, so then it doesn't become kaddish. But we could agree that 3 days straight would make a kaddish. Says nearly he says at the time he's using it. Sheino says Kfis is not making this for permanent. Even use it many days in a kaddish. It's not holy. The Tanai Manik, which does happen, as we said, it my works. This is a night that he's not making it totally, absolutely kaddish permanently. Hey, Rabbeinu Yosef, Beis Yosef, Steve Gimel Kasav, Sudar the Asmi and Mitzvah Tilim, a cloth which you designated to put wrapped on it permanently. But Tzar Batun Chadazimna, you put tefillin in at one time. Asa Mitzvah Bezuz, can't wrap money in it. I can't show. Dikal Ma'il Olam, you designated for permanent use. Because the bottom is, down the Mitzvah Tefillin. Certainly, if you designate it generically to use it for tefillin, have a kilom. It's as if it's olam. But if you specify if it's not olam, have a kisna mutter, then that is a condition and it's permissible. The Mishnah Berurah writes that some people say that without azmona, you never say that it's olam. In other words, it has to specifically be verbalized or enunciated or determined, at least in thought. The Gra though says that stama is like the olam, and if you made a kiss to put in tefillin, or you told a kratzen to make a kiss, that's then we say it was made for that purpose. Then stam is like olam. Back to the that's why the Rama wrote. You make it originally in any event, in any manner, it's permitted. In this case, where all indications are that it's going to be permanent, you need to have an explicit statement that's not permanent. And then I feel used many times for the purpose of Eno Kadosh, like Mishnah Berurah said. They should stop making who is Mino. It's not clear if he designated somebody else can use to put tefillin in. In this case, come sanctified. Near Lani is time to Shas, a person Daf Shuatz Mishnamishbo for Acher Chen Yisbar B'Sif Yud. He says, then he was going to explain further that it's only he himself, the owner. Vav, Yesh Stapei Gazman Sechlios Dafka De Mase. Does the designation that we specifically buy an action? Find Jik Bar Kiss the shame film that you should sow it for the purpose of film. Avik Shalokach Hakik, so that if you bought it, Varman, you said, he must be on film. I'm designating film in no moil. And you can go dovar unless you fix something in it, like a shikin and shinoi, for the purpose of tefillin zeko. Maybe it suffices just to say it is for that purpose when you buy it. But such is machlokes rishonim b'zeh. It's a machlokes between the Ri'adz who's king Rabbeinu Yishai Rishon, much closer to the great begim of the brachas barif. V'zel Rishona Maris Keni Arav. The Rishai Trani says that Cholik Bazman ben Karka Metaltek distinguishes the designation between real estate and rural objects. Karka ain Bazman b'dibur. You can't designate land by speech. A metaltek yesh Bazman b'dibur, but rural objects you can't designate verbally. We said that this question be tefillin harei zazman afilu b'dirubah that works even if you just verbalize it. The question about tefillin afilu b'shah, and if you tie tefillin into this cloth even temporarily, also likshabah mosab you can't put your money in there as well. The Riaz, the Shachar and Zokin, the grandson, argues that his grandfather. The little object needs a maisa to make it miyuchad, special for that purpose. So to the tefillin cloth. If you made some sort of improvement in it for the purpose of tefillin, raise that money, that's designation. Because and if you put tefillin in it even for a short amount of time, raise also. But if you only designate verbally, that's not designation. And therefore, just because you put tefillin in for a short amount of time, it still remains mutter. But if you designated it for the purpose of tefillin, and then you put in tefillin, there's no greater hasmana than that. Zayin nimtza comes out that feel vidas riaz moil dibor nichto and yach put tefillin alamis. According to the grandson, if you designate put tefillin there permanently, dibor works. If you do a deed, then then even if you didn't specifically specify it's eternal, it's considered to be designation. He says, this is astonishing. The lowest meaning of lamis, if you never designate for a permanent usage, Ezaz money. How is it designation? Rabbeinu B'El says because of first dafkal olam, which obviously says only if you designate it permanently. It's difficult to say that the problem is that Azmana was only verbal. Because then he should have specified that. Rather, he's saying this by any type of designation. And Svara dictates that the below lamis hahavik nai ba'alma, that if he the below olamis. In other words, it's got to be, since he says it's also when you even though you weren't masmin it permanently, that it's tantamount to designating permanently when you make it special for the purpose of tefillin, it's tantamount to designated purpose, designate olamis, because he says the time doesn't work. So the making of it for the purpose of tefillin, in and of itself, even though you don't verbalize it, according to the Riyadz, makes it permanently for the purpose of tefillin. So the Riyadz Svirle, the Tanai Lomani, the condition doesn't work in these cases, because if he says even without verbalizing, it's permanently fixed. So then a Tanai shouldn't work as either. V'tzorchin the menachos in Yerushalayim v'tfilah shorosh and tfilah sheyad to ba'asin line make kar shari. He says that, but in menachos it says that you can change tfilah shorosh tfilah sheyad if you make a condition. Ein sham. That's just say dafka l'kedusha kala mahani tonight. So there's maybe to go down from kedusha chamura to kedusha kala, that a condition works for. But to then take the sack and use it to store coins, that takes out altogether, that's not good. But none of the other poskim made such a distinction. Ches, Minei Rabbi saying Bali at Taisus Sanhedrin, Kosvu B'das Kedas Rabbi Yishai Rishon. The Taisus hold in Sanhedrin Memches like the grandfather, the Mahani Azmona B'dibu in L'Kocha B'Yodav is Mil L'Shem Zeh. That Azmona B'dibu works if you took it into your hand and you designate for that purpose. Zeh Shon Sham. The Tzorach L'Med the Yichud the Dibur Ba'amal Lo Mahani says designating verbally doesn't work all the time. Unless you take it and say this clause should be either for a dead person's shrouds or for the part of a sefer, for a sefer Torah or a film, whatever. Vayinaki to oreg, and that what it says if you wove it for that purpose, lav dafka. The weaving is not enough, unlike the grandson. It's a chiddush day of Rava that even nevertheless it's still permitted. Akal shol. He said Dina Bavali Kaiman Kedas Rabbeinu Seinatai Taisus certainly hold la halacha like the Taisus that only dibur plus holding may denotes azmana. Mishnah Berurah brings down that the Rabbi Akiva holds that if the azmana was to a ma'aseh like the grandfather, then the film does like the grandson. Then it becomes usher when you put tefillin into it later on, even generically. But if the azmana was by dibur, then it doesn't become usher because the azmana was not at the time of putting the tefillin in. In any event, he concludes that it's tzorechim, whether dibur by itself works or not. Nevertheless, if he took it and said this should be for tefillin, that works because if he took it in his hand, that's considered like a ma'aseh.